Kobe rolling over in his grave right now for some of the conversations that some of my former peers and current players are having right now about this ring culture. Because the only thing mattered to Kobe, remember this? He did that sitting in it when he was playing with, towards the end of his career, they was playing in Dallas. I forgot who he was talking to, but he had to remind a fan, I got 5 of those things. 5 of them. It's the only thing that mattered to him. Cole got 1 MVP, 1 regular season MVP, 5 rings. And a lot of people look up to Kobe or even have him. A lot of people may have Kobe as they go.
Whoa. Cut the tape. Just stop it right there. Are we really supposed to sit here and listen to this? Are we supposed to just nod our heads like he's dropping some profound basketball truth on us? Kendrick Perkins isn't just disagreeing with his old teammate. He's calling out what he sees as a blatant, hypocritical attempt by LeBron James to change the rules of greatness in the middle of the 4th quarter. Perkins is basically saying that for decades, rings have been the ultimate measure, and LeBron, the man who literally built his career around chasing them, doesn't get to downplay them now just because he can't catch Michael Jordan. This isn't some new philosophical debate. This is legacy protection, plain and simple. This is a guy looking up at the scoreboard, seeing he's behind, and trying to convince the ref to change how we score the game. But it's not going to work, because the history of this league is written in championship gold, and that's a truth you can't spin, not even on a podcast. Let's be crystal clear. Of all the people in the basketball world to question ring culture, for it to be LeBron James is just audacious. This is the man who, more than anyone in his generation, made championships the only conversation that mattered. Do we really need to roll the tape back to 2010? To the decision? Why did you leave Cleveland that first time, LeBron? Was it to prove you were a better statistical player than everyone else? No, you left to go win. You went to Miami to build a super team with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh for one reason: to get rings. You knew then that your legacy, your claim to the throne, was hollow without them. That single move kicked off the modern era of player movement, an era defined entirely by chasing titles. You made it okay for stars to force their way to wherever they had the clearest path to a trophy. You didn't just take part in ring culture, you were ring culture. You were its CEO. And then, after you got your 2 rings in Miami, why did you go back to Cleveland? You went back to keep a promise to bring a championship to your home state. Not a great regular season, not a scoring title, but to hang a banner. You got it then. You got it when you landed in LA, knowing the ghosts of Magic, Kareem, and Kobe demand championships. You couldn't be the superstar who wore the purple and gold and didn't deliver. You had to get one. And now that you have 4, now that the chase is harder and the clock is ticking, all of a sudden the conversation is weird? Suddenly you don't get why it's the end-all be-all? It's nonsense. You know exactly why. You wrote the playbook. And to turn around now and act confused is a slap in the face to every fan who lived and died with every finals win and loss, because you were the one who told them that's what mattered most. This is where the argument stops being a bad take and starts being deeply disrespectful. When you downplay the importance of rings, you're not just creating a new story for yourself, you're taking a shot at the legacies of the giants you're supposed to be honoring. It's a sentiment Kendrick Perkins has voiced passionately, suggesting that hearing this talk would make Kobe Bryant turn in his grave. Think about that. Kobe's entire basketball soul was forged in the fire of championships. The Mamba mentality wasn't about putting up good numbers on a Tuesday night in Sacramento. It was about the obsessive, all-consuming drive to win when everything was on the line. He had 1 regular season MVP, but he had 5 rings. He'd remind everyone, I got 5 of those things. That was his identity. To suggest those championships are just some secondary tiebreaker is to completely miss the point of who Kobe was. And what about Michael Jordan, the ghost you've been chasing for 2 decades? The entire foundation of his GOAT argument rests on one perfect, undeniable fact: 6 finals, 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs. No losses on the biggest stage. That perfection is what separates him. It's the mountain you decided to climb. You don't get 3/4 of the way up and then announce that mountain climbing isn't the real test of a mountaineer. This goes for all of them. Bill Russell's 11 rings are the stuff of myth. Magic and Bird's whole rivalry is defined by their finals battles. Isaiah Thomas is cemented in history because he beat the Celtics, Lakers, and Bulls to become a champion. These guys aren't just remembered for being great players. They're immortalized for being winners. You can't just change the criteria for greatness without trying to rewrite their history, and nobody gets to do that. Let's try a little thought experiment. As Kendrick Perkins pointed out, nobody really remembers all the individual accolades over the long run, but they remember the champs. Quick, right now, who made the All-NBA second team in 2009? You're probably drawing a blank. Now, who won the championship in 2009? The Los Angeles Lakers. See? You know that one. Who was the champion in 2004? Perk knows it instantly. The Detroit Pistons. That was an underdog team with no single MVP-level superstar. But we remember them. We remember Chauncey, Rip, Ben, Sheed, and Tayshaun because they did the one thing that echoes through eternity. They won the whole damn thing. Championships are the chapter titles in the NBA history book. Everything else, the All-Star games, the 50-point nights, the stats, they're the footnotes. They add color, they add context, but they are not the main story. Banners hang forever, and for the greatest to ever do it, they are the ultimate proof that your individual brilliance could be channeled into the ultimate team success. Before I get to the real reason LeBron is saying all this, I gotta ask you, am I spitting facts or am I losing my mind? Let me know in the comments right now. Do rings define a player's greatness? Yes or no? It's a simple question. And while you're down there, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button because we are just getting warmed up. So why? Why is LeBron, one of the smartest and most calculated athletes we've ever seen, suddenly pushing this narrative? It's not because he had some late career epiphany. This is a strategic pivot. It's Legacy Management 101. The score is 6-4. That's the number. In the biggest debate in all of sports, Michael Jordan has 6 rings and LeBron James has 4. As his career winds down, the odds of him catching and passing Jordan get smaller and smaller. So what do you do when you can't win the game by the rules everyone's been playing by? You try to change the rules. He's trying to shift the center of the GOAT debate away from the one column where he's clearly behind Jordan. He wants us to talk about longevity. He wants us to talk about total points scored. He wants us to talk about assists, all NBA teams, and his off-court impact. And all of those things are incredible parts of his legacy, but he's trying to elevate them above the ultimate metric because it's what serves his argument now. He's repositioning his case for the history books by framing the debate on his terms. It's a brilliant PR move, but it's so transparent. He's running from Jordan's ghost by pretending the ghost doesn't matter. Now, LeBron brings up guys like Charles Barkley, Allen Iverson, and Steve Nash, asking if we're saying they weren't unbelievable? And he's right. Let me be clear. Charles Barkley was an absolute monster. Allen Iverson was a cultural icon who changed the game. Steve Nash was a 2-time MVP and an offensive genius. They are legends. We respect them. But there's a reason they aren't in the same tier. The same sacred air as Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or Magic Johnson. There are levels to this. There's greatness, and then there's the pantheon. And historically, the price of admission to that inner circle has been a championship. It's not a nitpick, like LeBron says. It's the ultimate separator. Winning a title is brutally, excruciatingly hard. It takes a different gear of leadership, sacrifice, mental toughness, and performing when the pressure is suffocating. It proves you could take your own talent and lift an entire organization to the top of the mountain. That's why it's valued so much. To dismiss it isn't just an insult to the guys who won, it's an insult to how unbelievably hard it is to do what they did. So let's call this what it is. LeBron James didn't just have a sudden change of heart about basketball history on his podcast. He's looking at the final score of his career and trying to argue for a different way to count the points. He built his legacy on ring culture, taking his talents to South Beach, coming home to Cleveland, and winning in Los Angeles. For more than a decade, he told us to judge him by that exact standard. And now, as the sun sets on his legendary career, he wants to tear that whole foundation down, because it no longer helps his case for being the GOAT. But Kendrick Perkins is here to remind him, and all of us, of one simple, unchanging truth. Banners hang forever. The conversation doesn't change. Greatness in the NBA has always been, and will always be, about one thing above all others: winning. Individual stats get forgotten. All-star games blur together. But championships are eternal. And no amount of podcasts or hot takes will ever change that. The rings aren't just part of the story. The rings are the story.